to the house on Mango Street, and today's text is going to focus on thoughts and feelings about growing up. So I grew up as the oldest person in my family, the oldest of 6 children. And so when I was growing up, I had to learn a lot of responsibility, because a lot of the times when we were outside, when we were going places, I was the one that had to look after my siblings, make sure that they didn't get in any trouble, and they were always doing what they were supposed to be doing. It made me feel very frustrated a lot of the times, because my siblings and I are only 2 years apart in age. So while they were being kids and being reckless, I was still a kid, so I would get frustrated that I would get in trouble for their actions. So when I say go at a voice level 1, take 1 minute to turn and talk with your partners about something that you felt or had to learn while growing up. 1 minute, level 1, go.
Because one time, I understand I've been going multi-ball, I told him don't play with it, he still played, he kicked it, he broke the fan, and I think it was painful. And that fan was
Alright guys, bring it back in 3, voices off, 2, 1. From a show of hands, who wants to share out what their partner talked about? I need more hands than that, girls, because every single boy has their hand raised. Well, Elijah had his. There we go. Paris, share with me first what y'all talked about.
We talked about how we used to step in for our sisters and brothers and how we used to have to take responsibility.
Yep. Kyron.
That most of the time that what Tyler has said, he said that that he don't get what he wants anymore.
He doesn't get what he wants anymore. You have to sacrifice a lot for your younger siblings. It's real frustrating. Sajiana, you said something opposite because you're the baby of your family. What you got?
I said that I was the baby of the family and it's not hard to get my ways. And my partner said that she's the only girl in the family.
She's the only girl. Ooh, see, my brother was the only boy, but I have a bunch of sisters. Sam, you're the only boy? It's stressful. Lauren, what you got? Yeah, you got to put in a lot of work. You don't just get handed stuff anymore as you get older. Genesis.
I said that patience and time will help you get through some of life. And my partner said that respectfulness and pride and something else will also follow through elementary time.
Yeah, you start being more responsible for yourself, so when you accomplish things, you feel really good about yourself. Demone, and then I'm coming to y'all, Ajanique and Brady, because I haven't heard from y'all yet.
Okay, so I'm the baby in my family, but I know it's what I do is when my older siblings got like some food or something, I go over there and I ask for it, and I see younger babies do that a lot.
They do that. Yep. Ajanique.
My partner said that she had to take her brother's consequences because she was a middle child.
Yep, that sure does happen too. You get a lot of times. I used to get in trouble all the time for my siblings. One time I remember I was sitting up in my room with my door closed, completely minding my business. And I guess my siblings were downstairs. I don't know what they were doing, but I heard something fall and it definitely broke. And I was like, awesome. And I heard my mom call me instantly. And I went downstairs and she was like, why did you let your little sister break the lamp? And I was like, I was in my room. I didn't even know she was downstairs like jumping on the couch doing anything. And she was like, no, it's your responsibility to be watching her to make sure she doesn't break stuff. No, that was the first time I really remember being so frustrated about being the oldest because I was upstairs in my room. Yeah. No, I got in trouble. They were like, oh, be more careful. But anyway, we're going to move on. I know it's fun to talk about because our siblings get us into so
My
much.
sister, she
That's
cries
it. All right.
always, and she get louder when she cries.
Mm-hmm.
Like That's aggravating. Shut up.
Yep. Alright guys, we're gonna turn it back off and jump into our first reading. So we're gonna be reading pages 94 to 98. And remember, when we read fiction, we think about the characters, the setting, and the conflict. What do we think about?
The characters, setting, and conflict.
One more time, 100%. What do we think about in the back?
Characters, setting, and conflict.
Very good. So for our first reading, we will have 10 silent minutes to write down 2 to 3 details, aim for 3, on pages 94 to 98 about the garden and what happens as time goes on. 10 minutes, volume level 0, go. I like that all of my groups immediately went to reading. Great job, guys. I give a bonus to each of y'all for that. Good work. Good. Genesis already has her first bullet point. Elijah's got his first bullet point. Harris and Michael are both writing. Harris got 2. And it's okay if you find more than 3 things. I just wanted to see at least 2 to 3 things. But if you want to put 4 or 5, that's fine too, because it's a little bit of a longer reading than we've had. Was she watching the movie or was she just hearing this? Remember, you can pull direct quotes if you want to, but you can also paraphrase. Six and a half minutes. I like that I'm seeing 1 to 2 bullet points in everyone's gist box. Great job, guys. 1.5 minutes. Four more minutes. Two and a half minutes. One more minute. finish up. Alright, that's time. So let's look back up here, guys. Track me in 3, 2. I have table in the back. Waiting for one more table. Thanks, that's 100%. Alright. So I actually noticed something when I was walking around in your gist box that I didn't have in mine. I think I started my notes a little bit later than y'all did. So let's go over it because I want to make sure that all of our thoughts are accounted for, especially if they're important. So let me type. There we go. Okay, so what was the first note that a lot of y'all had down? Elijah, let me hear yours.
Esperanza was getting aggravated by the monkey.
Let's move on a little. I like that one. I saw that a few times, but let's move on a little bit. Kyron.
Esperanza is glad that the monkey is gone.
The monkey is gone. So that was what, raise your hand if you had that the monkey left. Right, and where did the monkey go? To Kentucky. So the monkey, and remember check and change, guys. Lauren, go ahead. We can give you an answer. What's out of the guard? I cannot type it. Excuse me, guys. Out of the garden. Great. And then, Brandy, I really liked what you had in your gist box too that we had talked about. Tell the class what you had written down.
I said the plants in the garden started to take over.
The plants in the garden started to take over. So it says that, why did the plants in the garden start to take over?
Because the monkey
monkey
wasn't there all the
Yeah, so the monkey moved out, and so then instead of the monkey being in control, who is in control now? The garden. Yeah, it was getting all across. So the plants take over the garden, which is important because we're going to see that again later. Good answer. Sorry, no problem. What happens? So when they first start to play in the garden, they use. I saw a lot of y'all wrote down that they use a lot of imagination. What happens in the garden when they get a little bit older? Who do we see in the garden? We have 2 characters. Paris.
Sally and boys.
Sally and boys and Esperanza, our main character, right? So what happens with Sally and the boys' Paris? Tell us.
Sally gets mad that the boys took her keys, and so they said, Sally, you're gonna have to come in a garden with us so you could kiss each of us to get your keys back.
Alright, check and change, guys, if you don't have that. Alright, so that'll be good for our gist because we're also going to move into our second read where we're going to get a little bit more in depth. What you got, Sonia? Go ahead.
I said that Esperanza didn't trust the garden anymore at the end.
She didn't trust the garden anymore. She didn't trust the people she was growing up with. Sally is one because Sally, but she says, I remember in one part she had said that her mood shifts a lot. But it's not that she doesn't quite trust the garden, it's the new occurring events that we're seeing in the garden. So they used to play imaginary games and make up, the cars with this or that or whatever. But now they're getting older and they're sitting in the garden where they used to play and the boys are trying to make Sally kiss them, they're taking her keys. They're all acting a lot older and so they're letting go a lot of those games that they used to play when they were younger. Let's move on now to our objective before we jump back into our second read. Tia, can you read our objective for me? Yes, it's in your packets, right under your gist box.
Students will be able to define the connotative meaning of words and phrases by underlining the connotative words in the text and writing their implied meaning in the read for deeper meaning box.
Good. So what are we underlining?
Connotative
words. One more time, what are we underlining?
Connotative words.
Now we've talked about connotative words a little bit already, but let's do a quick review. So connotative meaning is the implied meaning. So it's the feeling that the word evokes from readers. So it's taking one word that has a literal meaning, like our example, home, which a home is just a structure, it's a building, it's a house. But when you say, like, this house is my home, what kind of feeling do you get, Michael? A calm feeling. You're very relaxed. That's where all your stuff is. That's where your family is. So our literal meaning for home is just a building, but our connotative meaning for home is that it's a place of comfort and safety. These are going to be our key points for the lesson. They're going to be really important to remember for our second read. So let's go over our good reader statement. When good readers read for connotative words or phrases in fiction, they pay attention to the descriptions of the character, setting, and conflict. What do we pay attention to?
The descriptions of character, setting, and conflict.
Great job, guys. That was awesome. So I'm going to tell you a little, or kind of explain to you how you're going to go about doing this. Since I know we have a little bit of practice with connotative words, but it can still be a little bit tricky. So you're going to find it, write it, describe it. So the first thing that I'm going to do, if Ms. Morley was a student, I would go back into my text and I would start looking. Where do I see descriptive words before like important nouns? Or where do I see a lot of descriptions in a phrase? So I'm going through and I see that the garden started to overtake itself. And then I think to myself, okay, that sounds like a connotative phrase to me because a garden is taking over itself, which can give me a feeling that it might be turning wild or getting out of control. So the second thing that I do is I write that phrase that I just found. So in my Read for Deeper Meaning box on the next page in your packet, I write down the garden started to take over itself. Then on the other side, under our descriptions of feeling and mood, you'll see it on the right side of your packet, I would write, the garden taking over itself makes me feel like the garden is wild or out of control. I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull up on the next spot. So here we go. Going to write it. Hold up, let me go back up. All right, I think my PowerPoint's taking over itself. The garden, let's get the exact quote for us. The garden began to, you can try to use that pencil sharpener, I'm not sure that one works, but I'll get another one for you. The garden began, and you can write this in the left side of your Read for Deeper Meaning box, to take over itself. And I found that on page 95. Then I say, this makes the garden feel like it is wild or growing out of control. So that's already going to be your first one in your box. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to silently go back in the text and find 2 more. Okay? And you'll have 10 whole minutes to do this. So remember, we're going to find it, write it, describe it. Okay? Yes. Thumbs up if we got it. I know some of us are still writing. Great, so finish writing that. 10 minutes. What's that? Might be a question? Let's not do partner yet, because we're going to do partner for our next part, okay? So do this part by yourself, and then when we get into our text-dependent questions, we can work in partners. All right, 10 silence minutes. Find me 2 more and put it in your Read for Deeper Meaning graphic organizer. Go. Good, everybody's back in their text. It looks like we just about finished copying. Oh, Paris already found her first one.
Miss Bailey Tyler have to go to the cafeteria.
The cat. Oh, that's right. No. Tyler, oh yeah, that's the principal lunch. You go ahead. No, just Tyler, I think, is on this one.
Yeah, it's just him.
Yeah, Tyler. It's the student of the month. That's what it is. Yeah, you can bring your stuff because you'll stay down there for lunch. And I'll still have your chips too later. So I'll see you out in Richmond, okay? You can't find nothing? So, really look for a lot of descriptive words. So I see soggy flowers. Or I see, let's go back to the first page. What you got? Yeah, but that is one of them, but make sure you're getting the best feelings for the feelings that we have for this text. that's definitely connotative words. So like the one that I put out, like up here, 'cause it says like this is used both fruits. I also see, yeah, the one that I put out over there. Those fires for see all these descriptive words that are happening, avenue of ants. Does that make you feel like there's one ant or like many ants, right? This is actually what I put out, the avenue of ants. So many crusty ladybugs. So it really gives you a feeling that like it's very simple, the garden's out of control. Now we have this feeling of like the bugs are also like they're taking it over. It's their home now instead of the bees. Then you can go in and they have a lot of descriptions about like Saturn and the boys and stuff like that. So just look for that now, and then look for that descriptive word before it and talk about how it makes you feel. Okay? I'm coming to you next, Brandon. There was some flowers as big as flowers on yours. But we really not unless we see really tall, right? Let's see how big. This one. The garden taking my roots in. We're going past that, okay? One second, wait, I'm gonna go to Brandon and come back. I like that one. So then cars up here overnight like mushrooms. What was happening to this? We were like, so you got like these school and then we get the other people. And I was thinking, well, what if people get just what is it coming? So the kids go in and they get a bunch of things for going down to okay. Oh, you have to go to the bathroom. Finish this part, I'll send you a back. Are you finished it? Let me see. Make sure you put your page numbers, guys, of where you found it. I like this one. I'll just pull out one. Try to find one of the pages. Okay, 196 or 97. Alright, let me see you next year. We have 6 minutes, guys. Guys, don't pull all of your connotative words out just about the garden. Try to find some about our characters, whether that be Esperanza or Sally or the boys. And that won't start until like 96, 97, because that's when we get into everything that they did in the garden. 4 more minutes. No, I think they're at enrichment right now. She's acting like she's super for, you know. How would you see this stuff? Finish? Did you pull it out? So one of us are on 2. I'm gonna add 2 more minutes. You're looking on 96 and 97 for some character descriptions.